Hello, my name is Ming. I'm right now studying at the University of Huddersfield for a Master of Arts degree. I appreciate having this opportunity to share my research and my creation under the idea of silence. My research is practice-based, and the title is Notating, Performing, and Listening: Music Experience under 3D Notation. It originated from Mark Applebaum's piece, The Metaphysics of Notation. In this lightning talk, I can't give you more details about the composer and the piece, so please check it online for more details. Actually, the background of this PPT is from parts of this score, and we can see there are many abstract images, and it may be very hard to connect those images to sound. But there is much research in this area to find the relationship between the shape and the sound, and Applebaum himself also wrote a handbook to provide his explanation to connect the shape and to some potential sound materials. Moreover, there is another version of this score. Applebaum chose a way to scroll the score through video to demonstrate the piece. For me, scrolling score is like a guide to navigate me to imagine the sound, which is the same as traditional notation for instruction to guide performers to play the music. But the scrolling score addresses another question. The video does not include any sound, and he asked the audience to imagine the sound through playing the video. It's a kind of a way to perform the score in silence. So the issue is how do we treat the performing through imagination? I think the scrolling score is a kind of a video. The start and the end of the video is decided, so it's like a frame to indicate the time of the performance, which is similar to Cage's idea of time bracket. John Cage talked about one of his theatre pieces that he thought the music is anything that is free within the limitation. So Michael Nyman argued that experimental composers are more excited by proposal of outlining a situation in which sound may occur. So I think time as a frame can be a way to explain why we can still consider the imagine through the score as a music. At least it is a kind of activity within the time. Robert Ashley also stated that time may be upmost as a definition of music, and the definition of the music would be without reference to sound. So, I may consider the occurrence within the time would be a kind of music experience. And here we can find the notation could be a guide, and the time bracket gives us a new direction to think about silence of the music. Anything happening within a time could be a music experience. Under these ideas, I established my idea of 3D notation. I think the images on paper are like the objects in the room, and the object will separate the room into different small spaces. Then I analog the eyes movement on page to the body movement in the room. So in my idea, I will ask visitors to walk in the room. Because the space has been divided by objects, the objects will navigate the people to walk in the space. It is the same function as the notation. Symbols give people the instruction or imagination to sound. Under this idea, I created my first installation, Time Slicing, in 2023. It was exhibited in Toast House at the University of Huddersfield in January 2023. I used different pipes to separate the room and invite people to walk in the subspace. I consider that pipes are notation to navigate the visitors. And then every visitor will be required to record his or her own time in the space as time bracket. So the walking of the visitor becomes the performing, which follows the idea that everything happening within the time can be considered as music experience. Meanwhile, those performers are also the listeners, so the role of performers is also changed. The person who walks in the 3D notation space is both a person of performer and the listener. So in conclusion, under the idea of 3D notation, there are some points that challenge the traditional idea or the definition in the music. Firstly, the function of the notation is the objects in the space, and the objects navigate people to walk in space. Secondly, the role of performers has transferred into a walker under the guidance of the object in the space. And meanwhile, the listener also becomes the same person as the performer. Both listening and performing will be combined as musical experience under the 3D notation system. This is my today's topic. And if you have any questions or opinions, please feel free to email me. And my email has written down the first page of the PPT. So please contact me. Thank you.